Welcome, dear friends. It is with a warm heart and a playful spirit that I invite you to join me on this little journey we call mindful technology use, the Buddhist approach. Let us take a moment to settle in, wherever you may be, perhaps seated comfortably, perhaps reclining, soft pillow or cushion beneath you, the hum of digital life still gently whispering beyond our ears. As you rest, allow your breathing to become slow and even, like the ebb and flow of a quiet sea. My name is Thich Minh An, and I've spent many years treading the path of awakening, both on dusty roads of ancient monasteries and more recently, in the ever-glowing rooms of our modern gadgets. I remember vividly the first time I saw my own reflection in a smartphone screen. Eyes widened, eyebrows in friendly surprise, asking, how did this small rectangle become so powerful? We all know that feeling. That curious gaze into a screen that seems to hold the entire world, 1,000 flickering windows of possibility. And yet, even as we marvel, a tiny knot forms in the heart. Am I losing myself to these devices? Perhaps you've experienced it too. Waking in the early morning only to find your fingers scrolling the night's final messages, or lying awake at night, mind buzzing from the glow of notifications, as if a million tiny lanterns refuse to dim. In a world where connection is effortless and distraction is inevitable, our minds can become like butterflies, fluttering from one bright flower of digital stimulus to the next, rarely sipping the sweet nectar of a single moment. So why does this matter? Why, in the gentle embrace of sleep or the soft glow of dawn, do we worry about technology? Because, my friends, our minds are precious gardens. Every time we reach for our phones without intention, we are scattering seeds of distraction, seeds that sprout into worry, anxiety, and even restlessness that keeps us from true peace. And when we allow our minds to become like crowded marketplaces of apps and alerts, we risk losing sight of the simple, quiet luxury of being fully present, of tasting each breath as if it were our very first. In the next half hour, we will explore how the Buddha's timeless wisdom of mindfulness can be a gentle lantern illuminating our path through this luminous forest of screens. We will learn to pause before we tap, to remember our intention before we swipe, and to cultivate a relationship with technology that nourishes rather than depletes. So, let us begin together. Whenever you feel your thoughts drifting toward a to-do list or tomorrow's worries, simply notice the breath. Inhale, becoming aware of this moment. Exhale, releasing any tension. May this time become a soft lullaby for your mind and a joyful welcome to the peace that lies just beyond the next notification. Welcome, let us journey gently. Friends, let us journey now into the heart of our digital landscape, that shimmering tapestry of light and sound in which so many of us live. Imagine waking one morning, the sky still soft and pale lavender, and before your eyes fully open, your hand reaches across the nightstand to touch a glowing rectangle. In that moment, you've already embarked on 1,000 mini adventures. Images of friends, news headlines, little red badges begging for attention. Across the globe, more than 4 billion people now carry these glowing gateways in their pockets, and each of us checks our devices, on average, more than 80 times a day. Perhaps you have felt that urge yourself, a breathless tingle in your fingertips that whispers, just a peek. In the marketplace of our minds, every ping becomes a tiny bell, summoning us to look, to respond, to feel. We swipe and scroll as if drawn by invisible strings, often without even knowing why. We tell ourselves, I'll just see one more post, and suddenly an hour drifts away like a leaf on the water, carried far from shore. In those moments, our attention splinters, breaking into 100 scattered fragments, news feeds, meme threads, email alerts, notifications from 1,000 apps. And if you pause to listen, you might hear the whisper of anxiety buried beneath the glowing screen. Am I missing something? Am I enough? The Buddha taught that our minds are like wild horses, eager to gallop in any direction that promises novelty or pleasure. In Pali, we call these impulses sankhara, volitional formations, the endless energy by which our feelings, perceptions, and thoughts arise. In the digital age, sankhara takes a new form. Every notification, every vibrating buzz, every flashing icon is a signal to rouse our attention, to hook us once again into desire, tanha, and aversion, dosa. When we crave the next hit of approval, likes, comments, shares, we feed a tiny fire in the heart that can grow into restlessness or even anxiety. And when our posts do not receive the applause we hoped for, that very same digital mirror can reflect a sense of inadequacy or rejection. Consider for a moment how often you pick up your device without even planning to. You sit down for tea, intending a simple, quiet moment, only to feel the phantom vibration in your pocket, like a little ghost reminding you of an unseen message. You believe you are merely checking the time, but before you know it, you have slid into a river of headlines, a tide of clickbait, currents pulling your mind further and further from the quiet banks of now. But here, dear friends, there is nothing to blame. No one is at fault. Our world has changed rapidly, and technology offers marvels never before imagined. We can connect with loved ones across continents in a single tap, learn from teachers from ancient lands via a tiny screen, find comfort in a supportive message when loneliness creeps in at midnight. Indeed, technology can be a kind and generous friend, offering community and compassion in moments when we feel adrift. The question is not to abandon these treasures, but to see them clearly. In the soft language of the Dharma, we call this seeing with wisdom, panya. Instead of allowing our minds to be carried away by every shimmering banner or flashing alert, we learn to notice the itch behind the touch, the way our hearts quicken, our breathing fragments, our thoughts scatter when the phone beckons. We begin to recognize the patterns. Here is craving, wanting to feel connected. Or, here is aversion, dreading a message that may bring bad news. When we bring mindfulness, sati, to our digital habits, we begin to notice the fine differences between a wholesome moment of connection, perhaps a heartfelt message from an old friend, and a compulsive plunge into the depths of an endless feed. We learn to pause, to breathe, to ask ourselves, what am I seeking? Am I looking for nourishment or merely fleeing boredom? Am I curious or am I afraid of being alone with my own thoughts? The Buddha's teaching of impermanence, anicca, also shines a helpful light here. Every app updates, every notification fades, every trending topic vanishes into the archive of yesterday. When we remember that nothing digital remains fixed, we soften our grip on our devices. We understand that the moment we scroll past, that story or image already drifts into the past. And in this realization, we find freedom from the relentless chase after something that is, by nature, always changing. So in this beautiful, buzzing age, we will learn not to wage war against our screens, but to live in harmonious partnership with them. We will practice noticing the ripples of craving and aversion that arise with each ding, each red dot. We will cultivate the spaciousness within our hearts, like a clear blue sky beyond passing clouds, so that when the next notification arrives, we have the freedom to choose whether to open or let it be. And so, as we gently close this reflection on the digital age in our minds, may we carry this tender awareness forward. In doing so, we plant seeds of calm in the fertile soil of our attention, and each seed we sow whispers, "You are more than a screen. You are the gentle witness of all moments, both digital and beyond." May this awareness grow like a soft, glowing lantern, guiding us through the forest of light that surrounds us each day. Now, dear friends, let us settle more deeply into the heart of the Dharma, exploring how mindfulness and attachment shape our experience, both on the cushion and in that glowing rectangle we carry. Picture for a moment a still pond at dawn, mist hovering above the water, the world hushed, waiting. Yet the slightest breeze sends ripples across its surface, and every stone, every leaf, disturbs its calm. In much the same way, our minds, like that pond, long for stillness, yet are so easily stirred by countless forces, one of which, in our time, is the constant draw of technology. In the Pali tongue of the Buddha, mindfulness is called sati, that beautiful capacity to be aware of what is happening in this very moment. Whether we are breathing, walking, washing dishes, or glancing at an incoming notification, this is not a forced attention, as if we must strain to see something hidden. Rather, mindfulness is the gentle opening of the heart's window, allowing clear light to enter. When we practice mindfulness, we simply pause and observe. Here is the breath, rising and falling. Here is the phone vibrating in my pocket. Here is the stirring in my mind, wanting to check, wanting to scroll. Notice how effortless it feels when we rest like this. No agenda, no hurry, just the steady rhythm of our own knowing. In that space of clear seeing, we begin to recognize patterns. We notice how, whenever a message pings, our minds react, sometimes leaping with excitement, sometimes contracting with worry. That reaction arises from tanha, craving, the desire to hold on to pleasant sensations, perhaps the pleasure of approval when friends like our post, or the novelty of a new video clip. And if a message fails to bring joy, or worse, brings bad news, we feel dosa, aversion, pushing us away, maybe into frustration or disappointment. The Buddha taught that craving and aversion are two sides of the same coin. When we cling too tightly to pleasant experiences, believing that our worth depends on how many thumbs up we collect, we sow seeds of suffering. Likewise, when we recoil from discomfort, perhaps an unflattering comment or a slow internet connection, we stir a small storm of resistance in the mind. Both delight and disdain are fleeting. Each moment on our screens, each bright like or sharp disappointment, arises and passes away in the blink of an eye. Here's where the brilliance of impermanence anicca comes in. Every app we open, every story we watch is impermanent. The status updates we read are ancient history within minutes. And yet, because we grasp so tightly, we often act as though these digital images, these fleeting notifications, are solid and lasting. When we remember anicca, we begin to loosen our grip. We see that the thrill of a notification is like a single raindrop on the pond. It ripples, but soon the ripples fade, returning the pond to stillness. Mindfulness then becomes our anchor. When we first begin, it might feel challenging to simply notice our impulses without acting. We may think, but I must know if someone has replied to my message. And yet, dear friends, what if we paused for just a few breaths before diving in? In those breaths, something gentle awakens, a sense of spaciousness, a sense that this moment belongs to us, not to the endless parade of alerts and updates. And in that space, we discover the middle way, Majjhima Patipada, the path between extremes. On one side lies total renunciation, casting all devices aside, allying with the old notion that technology is a root of evil. On the other side lies reckless indulgence, surrendering fully to every impulse, allowing notifications to drive our every action. The middle way invites us to find balance, to use technology skillfully, in a way that supports our well-being without letting it enslave us. Consider for a moment, right effort, samavayama, the energetic resolve to abandon unwholesome states and cultivate wholesome ones. In practice, when we catch ourselves slipping into the frenzy of social media, we can gently steer ourselves back, perhaps by returning to the breath or noticing the warmth in our hearts when we share a kind message. Rather than judgment or shame, we act with tender encouragement. Here is that old habit again. Let me guide my mind home to calm. Right mindfulness, samasati, supports this effort. It is the continuous thread of awareness that weaves through every action. When we become mindful of our digital habits, we see clearly how we react to each ding or buzz. We might notice the flutter in our chest, the tightening in our shoulders, the quickening of our breath. And because we see so clearly, we can choose a different response. We can decide, this moment is more precious than a fleeting notification. Let me rest in the warmth of my own awareness first, then decide if I wish to check. We also learn about non-attachment, upadana. This is the freedom that arises when we do not cling to any outcome. We post a photo, and if it brings many affirmations, we notice the heart's delight but do not cling. If it brings silence, we notice the discomfort but do not cling. We rest in the steady knowing that our worth is not defined by numbers or metrics, but by the simple, boundless kindness that flows through our hearts each moment. The practice of generosity, dana, can also extend to our digital lives. Just as we might share food with the hungry, we can share kindness online, perhaps by sending an encouraging message to a friend, offering a Dharma reflection in a group, or pausing to reply to someone in genuine care. When we give freely, without expectation of return, our hearts expand and the grip of craving loosens. We see that each tweet, each post, each comment can be an opportunity to sow seeds of loving kindness, not seeds of pride or anxiety. Much of this boils down to the simple art of awareness. When a notification arrives, instead of reacting immediately, we pause, lift the curtain of mind, take a breath. We allow ourselves even a single heartbeat of stillness before deciding. In that silence, we remember that our true home is here, in this very breath. The vast blue sky of awareness underlies every passing cloud of distraction. And as we practice more often, this spaciousness grows. We find ourselves less entangled in the compulsive scroll, the late-night browsing, the restless chase after novelty. Instead, we notice how our hearts soften, how our sleep deepens, how our presence at work, at home, with friends, becomes more genuine and open. The simple act of mindful seeing, observing each impulse as it arises, labeling it if we wish. There is craving, there is aversion, and then gently releasing becomes a steady lamp that guides us. So dear friends, as our time for this section draws to a close, remember that mindfulness and non-attachment are not lofty ideals to be grasped and put on a shelf. They are living, breathing practices you carry with you each time a phone buzzes in the quiet of night, each time a new tweet flashes across your screen. Practiced again and again, they ground you in the present, revealing the luminous heart beneath every passing sensation, digital or otherwise. And in that revelation, we discover a peace that no notification can disturb, a joy that no app can replace. Rest sweetly in that knowing, my friends. Now, dear friends, let us turn our attention to 3 guiding principles that serve as gentle beacons on the path of mindful technology use. These principles, intention, moderation with boundaries, and non-attachment to outcomes, are like 3 petals of a single lotus, each supporting and completing the others. As you listen, allow your breath to be soft, and let these ideas sink into the stillness of your heart, like moonlight rippling on a quiet pond. 1. Intention. Satana. Imagine awakening before dawn, the world still hushed in soft gray light. You reach for your device, not out of habit, but with a simple question on your lips. Why am I turning to this screen right now? This is the essence of intention. Satana in Pali, our genuine motive before we tap, scroll, or swipe. Instead of surfing aimlessly, we pause for a moment of clarity. Perhaps we want to connect with a dear friend overseas, to offer a gentle good morning across the miles. Perhaps we seek a soothing chant or a brief guided meditation to start our day with calm. Or perhaps we genuinely need to check an important message that will help a loved one. Whatever the reason, our first step is to bring conscious awareness to our choosing. When we practice intention, we step away from autopilot and invite presence into that seemingly small act of unlocking a screen. We ask ourselves, is this moment truly urgent, or am I avoiding the quiet inside? In that pause, a soft wind of wisdom stirs. We become less likely to fall into the whirlpool of endless feeds, and more likely to use our devices in ways that preserve our inner peace. 2. Moderation and boundaries. Sila-inspired restraint. If intention is our compass, moderation and boundaries are our gentle guardrails. In the monastic tradition, the precepts, kopala, guide us toward balance and restraint. In our digital lives, we can adapt these virtues to create simple, kind boundaries. For instance, imagine designating the first hour after waking as a, quote, device-free sanctuary. In that hour, you might sit with a warm cup of tea, notice the gentle rise and fall of your breath, and let your mind settle like dew on a lotus petal. Or you might choose to silence notifications from social media apps during mealtimes, allowing each bite and each conversation to be fully savored. These small boundaries need not feel like rigid rules. Rather, they are like soft fences that lovingly protect our time and attention. You might decide that after 9 o'clock in the evening, screens give way to pages of a book or simply to the soothing openness of silence. Or perhaps on weekends you choose an afternoon digital Sabbath, setting your phone aside long enough to walk barefoot on grass, to feel the cool earth beneath your toes, and to share laughter with a close friend. In each of these choices, you honor the principle of moderation, not condemning technology, but inviting technology to coexist harmoniously with the rhythms of your life. 3. Non-attachment to outcomes. The third principle, non-attachment to outcomes, upadana, is like the gentle expanse of the sky, vast and unbound. When we post a photograph or share an insight online, it is natural to feel curious. Will people respond? Will they approve? Or will they pass by without a glance? Yet in that question lies the seed of clinging. We hold on tightly to hopes of validation or approval, or we shrink away in fear of silence or critique. Non-attachment invites us to release that tight grasp. We post our photographs simply because we wish to share a moment of beauty, a lotus in bloom, a child's laughter, a quiet sunrise. We offer our words because they flow from the wellspring of our heart, hoping they may bring warmth or inspiration. And then, whatever follows, hundreds of comments, a few gentle likes, or complete silence, we rest in equanimity. We notice any flutter of disappointment, acknowledge the little ache of longing, and let it dissolve back into the gentle breath. By practicing non-attachment, we discover that our true worth is not measured by numbers, shares, or views. Our worth is inherent, like the sun's warmth shining regardless of whether clouds pass overhead. Even if our post receives no response, it does not diminish the sincerity of our intention. We simply smile at the open sky of our own hearts, free from the need to control how others react. Bringing the three together, when intention, moderation with boundaries, and non-attachment weave together, they create a tapestry of freedom. We begin to notice, for example, how choosing to check our email early in the morning can come from a compassionate wish to respond promptly to someone in need. We set our boundary, no emails after 8 o'clock at night, so that our minds can rest. And when a late message arrives, we greet it with an open heart. I will respond tomorrow with fresh clarity, rather than feeling compelled to reply immediately. In each moment, these principles invite us to become playful explorers of our own habits. When the phone buzzes, we practice a tiny pause, 2 soft breaths, asking, is this nourishing or is it just a habit? We breathe in the intention to use this tool wisely. We remember our boundaries. Perhaps that we promised ourselves a digital rest until lunchtime. And if we feel a flicker of longing or impatience, we notice it, meet it with kindness, and gently let it go, returning to the warm embrace of our own breath. Dear friends, as this gentle 4-minute reflection draws to a close, may these 3 principles become soft whispers in your heart each time a screen beckons. May you move through each day with the lightness of a bird, carrying your devices with mindfulness, kindness, and joy. And may you rest in the sweet lullaby of awareness, knowing that peace is always just a conscious breath away. Dear friends, let us now step lightly into the realm of practical strategies, simple invitations we can weave into our daily lives, transforming each digital moment into an opportunity for awareness, kindness, and ease. We will explore 3 practices: the digital mind check, single tasking mindfully, and using tech as a Dharma tool. As you listen, allow your body to soften, your breath to flow like a calm river, and may these strategies lull your mind like a gentle lullaby. Strategy 1. Digital mind check. Imagine, if you will, that every time your device beckons, you treat it like a little gate to a garden. Before stepping through, you pause, take a breath, and become aware of the conditions inside your heart. In practice, whenever you feel the urge to unlock your phone, perhaps after hearing a notification chime, or simply catching sight of the glowing rectangle, you pause for a moment. Rest your eyes softly, let your shoulders drop. Gently close your hand as if holding a delicate flower, and take 3 mindful breaths. On the first breath, notice how the air enters and leaves your nostrils, cooling as it enters, warming as it leaves. On the second breath, feel the rise and fall of your chest, like gentle waves lapping at the shoreline. On the third breath, invite a simple question into your awareness. Why am I reaching for this device in this moment? Perhaps the answer is clear. I need to send a quick text to my child, or I want to check an update for work. Maybe the answer is softer, like I am bored, or I am lonely, or even I want a quick distraction. Whatever arises, acknowledge it with kindness, without judgment. If the intention feels wholesome, such as connecting with a friend or seeking guidance, then you may proceed with a calm heart. If, however, the intention is rooted in anxiety or habit, perhaps an urge to fill an empty moment, then gently return the phone to your pocket or table, and see if you can welcome the stillness instead. Even if you choose to open your device, these 3 breaths have already grounded you in presence, and your actions will be more mindful, more aligned with your well-being. With each digital mind check, you cultivate a gentle habit of inquiry. Over time, you'll find that many impulses lose their grip. The mind will remember the taste of those 3 kind breaths, and the urge to scroll will soften. Each tiny pause is a seed of calm, nurturing a spacious garden within. Strategy 2. Single tasking mindfully. In our world of many open tabs and constant multitasking, we often imagine that juggling several things at once makes us more efficient. But dear friends, research and experience remind us that our minds function best when we focus on one thing at a time, with full presence. Single tasking mindfully invites us to treat each digital interaction as a sacred moment, an opportunity to be fully here, rather than scattering our attention like petals in the wind. To begin, choose one simple activity on your device, a brief check-in with email, a quick text exchange, or perhaps listening to a short guided meditation. Before you open the app, take a moment to set an intention. I will spend these next few minutes responding to my friend with an open heart. Or, I will read these messages with clarity and compassion. As you enter the app, notice the colors, the layout, the way your finger taps the screen. Let each tap be deliberate, each scroll be gentle. If you find your mind wandering, composing a reply in your head before reading fully, or worrying about the next task, pause and return to the breath. Even a subtle shift, feeling the weight of your body on the chair or the chair on the floor, can anchor you. When you finish your email or message, resist the urge to immediately open another app or check notifications. Instead, take a moment to notice how you feel. Did your shoulders relax? Did you finish more quickly because you were not distracted? Did your response carry warmth that might have been lost if you were half-focused? To support single tasking, you can also employ simple digital tools. Turn off unnecessary notifications while you work, use full screen mode so only one app is visible, or open only the one tab you need. If you're listening to a podcast or a Dharma talk, avoid simultaneously checking messages. Keep your device on a stable surface, rather than holding it in your hand, so it does not feel like an extension of your restless mind. Each time you notice you've drifted into multitasking, perhaps replying to a work email while a text from a friend arrives, gently smile to yourself and return to single tasking. Over time, this practice strengthens our attention muscle, allowing us to be fully present to one thing at a time, whether digital or otherwise. Strategy 3. Tech as a Dharma tool. Now, let us reimagine our screens as potential allies on the path, rather than obstacles. Even the most mindful of practitioners can benefit from apps and digital resources that support calm, compassion, and insight. The key is to curate a digital altar, a small collection of tools and resources that nurture your practice. First, consider downloading a simple meditation app, one that offers brief, guided sits or soundscapes. When you wake in the morning, rather than reaching for social media, you might open the meditation app for 2 or 3 minutes of silence, accompanied by gentle instructions. Notice how this choice sets a different tone for your day. The mind feels centered, like a still lake reflecting a clear sky. Next, curate a playlist of Dharma talks or chants, perhaps by teachers whose voices bring you comfort. Instead of mindlessly watching random videos, select a 10-minute talk to listen to while you prepare tea or wash dishes. Let each word sink in deeply, like raindrops nourishing dry soil. As you listen, allow the teachings to move through you, guiding your actions throughout the day. You might also use your device to set mindful reminders. A simple calendar notification at midday can ring like a bell, signaling, pause, breathe, what is happening right now? Use that moment to close your eyes briefly, check in with your body, let go of any tension, and perhaps send a loving kindness message to someone you care about. May you be well. May you be peaceful. If you are drawn to community, consider joining an online sangha, a digital group where practitioners share reflections, offer metta, loving kindness, and encourage each other. Be mindful of not falling into endless scrolling. Instead, schedule a brief check-in, say 15 minutes on Sunday afternoon, to read messages, respond with warmth, and then close the app with a sense of fulfillment rather than emptiness. Lastly, create a special folder on your home screen, your digital shrine, to hold bookmarks for favorite Dharma websites, ebooks, or online retreat schedules. When you feel restless and the urge to mindlessly browse arises, you will see not just a jumble of apps, but a small, curated collection of resources that quietly invite you back to peace. Weaving the strategies together. Imagine now that you awake one morning and see a gentle notification from your meditation app at sunrise. You pause, grateful for the reminder, and sit for 2 minutes of breath awareness. Later, as you sip tea, you feel an old habit tugging at you to pick up the phone and scroll, but you remember the digital mind check. You pause, breathe 3 times, notice the impulse arises from boredom, and choose to read a short poem instead. At mid-morning, a friend messages you, "How are you?" and you decide to respond mindfully, single tasking. You open just the messaging app, set the phone on the table, and allow your words to flow from a calm heart. Throughout the day, you catch yourself checking work emails after hours. Before you open the inbox, you remember your intention to have device-free evenings. You decide to wait until the morning. When evening arrives, instead of scrolling, you open a short Dharma talk, perhaps 10 minutes, and let the compassionate words wash over you. Before bed, you set your phone to Do Not Disturb, perhaps placing it face down beside the yoga mat where you did a few gentle stretches. As you lay your head on the pillow, you feel a sense of spaciousness that comes from knowing you did not let technology rule your day. Instead, you skillfully chose moments of presence, kindness, and calm. These three strategies, digital mind check, single tasking mindfully, and tech as a Dharma tool, are not rigid rules, but gentle invitations. You might find that one works especially well for you, or that sometimes you weave them in unexpected combinations. Perhaps on a busy day, the digital mind check is your anchor, while on a quiet afternoon, creating your digital altar brings the most joy. Trust your own experience and adjust as needed, like a gardener tending each plant with gentle care. And remember, whenever you stumble, finding yourself deep in a rabbit hole of social media or compulsively refreshing your inbox, offer yourself kindness. Smile at the flutter of restlessness in your heart and simply come back to the breath. In every moment of returning, you practice the true essence of the Buddha's path, awakening from distraction, awakening to presence. May these practical strategies guide you gently, like soft stars illuminating a moonless night. May each breath bring you home, each pause open a window to clarity, and may your relationship with technology blossom into a source of peace, connection, and joy. Rest now in that gentle knowing, dear friends, and let your mind drift like a leaf on a tranquil river. Now, dear friends, let us settle down for a short 5-minute practice that gently invites us to discover freedom within the pull of our devices. Find a comfortable seat or rest in a supportive posture, perhaps with your phone placed face down a few feet away so that its light cannot beckon you. Allow your hands to rest softly in your lap or on your thighs, palms open, receiving the calm of this moment. Let your eyes close, or if that feels uncomfortable, soften your gaze toward the floor. Begin by drawing in a slow, deep breath. Feel the cool air enter through your nostrils, filling your belly like a small, silent balloon. Then exhale, releasing any tension that might linger at the back of your neck, your shoulders, your jaw. Take one more full breath in, gently, like inhaling the scent of a flower, and let it go, letting your body soften as you settle into stillness. Notice how the rise and fall of your chest becomes a quiet anchor, a steady rhythm that holds you in the present. Now, imagine that in a moment you will hear a gentle chime, soft and clear, just like the ping of a notification. When you hear that sound, allow your practice to deepen. See if you can rest patiently without immediately reacting. For now, we remain simply here, breathing in and out, feeling the aliveness of each breath as the body continues its natural ebb and flow. Allotted time, 1 minute of silent breathing. Pause, letting about 1 minute pass with only ambient cues of breath. And now, soft chime sound, the first notification tone. Notice how your body responds. Perhaps the heart quickens, or the mind jumps forward, curious and alert. Right now, no need to check your device. Instead, allow yourself to become aware of the sensations. Feel the chest rise with curiosity. Feel the breath pause for a moment. Observe the gentle flutter of your mind, as if small wings whispering. Check it. See who has sent a message. Do not judge anything you notice. Simply acknowledge the urge. Here is the pull of craving. Wanting to know, wanting to respond. Then, take a slow, deliberate breath in. Sense how the air moves into your lungs, soothing the subtle clamor of anticipation. And exhale, releasing that impulse like a leaf floating down a stream. Let your shoulders soften. Let the mind rest in the space between breaths. Now, remain here for a few more breaths, each one a moment of gentle freedom. Allow the sound of your own heart to be louder than any digital chime. Allotted time, 1 minute of observing after first chime. Pause, letting about 1 minute pass with only ambient breathing. And again, soft chime sound. A second notification tone, like a familiar friend calling your name. Notice once more how the mind leaps forward, perhaps imagining a message from someone you care about, or expecting good news, or even dreading an unanswered text. Simply observe this reaction. Let your awareness be like a calm sky that notices each passing cloud without getting swept away by it. Take your time, dear friend. Inhale slowly, noticing the body's response, a brief tightening around the chest, the quickening of the breath. Exhale, and let all of that dissolve into the steady rhythm of the next breath. Recognize how, even in the midst of that flutter, you have the space to choose, to open your phone or to remain here, anchored in presence. Let the knowing arise softly. I am not at the mercy of my devices. I am the witness of these impulses. And now, gently allow the mind to rest. Feel the subtle warmth at your heart center as you release any tension. Notice how the body settles more deeply into the support beneath you, as if melting into the earth. Allotted time: 1 minute of observing after second chime. Pause, letting about 1 minute pass with only ambient breathing. Now, dear friends, let us move into a brief reflection. As you rest here, once more feeling the gentle rise and fall of your breath, notice any lingering sensations from our practice. Perhaps a soft lightness where tension once resided, or a warmth of clarity emerging in your chest. Become aware if there is any residual restlessness. Perhaps the mind still lingers on the idea of checking messages. Simply observe that too, with kindness. Invite a feeling of gratitude for this moment of stillness, for the simple gift of breath that carries you through each day. Perhaps you notice a hint of calm that you might take into your next interaction with your device. Allow yourself to imagine reaching for your phone with this same gentle awareness. 3 soft breaths before unlocking, and the freedom to choose how you will engage. Rest in this lull, this quiet hush between the last exhale and the next inhale. Feel a soft smile arise, however barely, knowing that this small practice has already begun to shift something inside. Know that each moment of coming back to the breath is an act of awakening, a moment of true presence far more nourishing than any fleeting notification. Allow your breathing to lengthen, if it will, as if each breath becomes a wave washing over the shore, calm, unhurried, steady. Let the mind drift like a leaf on a still pond, without resistance, without judgment. If you are feeling sleepy, let this be a gentle invitation to unwind deeply, to rest in the peace that arises when we pause before we act. And now, when you feel ready, gently blink open your eyes, bringing your awareness back to the room. Notice the sounds around you, the quiet rustle of air, perhaps distant birdsong, or the soft hum of life beyond. Carry this feeling of spaciousness with you, knowing that in any moment, you can return to the breath, the anchor that lies within. May this brief guided practice linger in your heart like a soft lullaby, inviting ease whenever technology reaches out for your attention. Rest in that knowing, dear friends, and allow your next moments to unfold with gentle presence and peaceful awareness. Dear friends, I'd like to share a story about Andrea, a young architect whose days once felt like a whirl of blinking screens and restless nights. Andrea's mornings would begin with a jolt, eyes still heavy from sleep. She would reach for her phone and be swept into a sea of emails, project updates, and social media notifications before her feet even touched the floor. By mid-morning, her head felt foggy, as though she were walking through clouds. Her mind buzzed with half-finished tasks and unread messages. Evenings were no better. Dinner at the table often became dinner with her device on her lap, and sleep felt elusive, as if her mind refused to let go of that final smartphone ping. One evening, after missing yet another good night's rest, Andrea realized she was tired not just in body, but in spirit. She remembered reading about mindfulness practices and decided to give them a try. Her first step was gentle. She placed her phone, fully charged, into a small phone basket by the doorway each night at 7 p.m. As the clock chimed, she whispered to herself, "This is my time to rest." That simple ritual allowed her mind to learn a new pattern. Dinner conversation without the blue glow, reading a few pages of a beloved novel, and drifting to sleep without a last-minute scroll. Next, Andrea began practicing a brief notification pause. Whenever she heard a ping during the day, whether at her drafting table or in a meeting, she took 2 soft breaths, noticing the flutter of expectation in her chest. After those breaths, she gently asked herself, "Is this moment urgent, or can it wait?" More often than not, she discovered it could wait. Instead of interrupting her creative flow to check yet another message, she simply returned to her sketch, letting her lines emerge with greater clarity and heart. Within 2 weeks, Andrea noticed something remarkable. Her evening screen time had dropped by about 30%. and the quality of her sleep improved to the point that she awoke before her alarm, feeling refreshed. Her colleagues noticed a newfound focus in her studio work. Her designs flowed more freely, and she became more present in team meetings. She realized that by carving out just a few intentional pauses, she was rediscovering the spaciousness between each breath and each task. But perhaps the most beautiful change was in her heart. A month later, Andrea sent a text to a close friend. "I never thought turning off my email after 7 p.m. could feel like a gift to my own mind." In those words, she reflected how small shifts, placing her phone aside, breathing before reacting, honoring quiet, had rippled through her life, bringing greater ease, deeper rest, and a gentle joy that no notification could match. May Andrea's journey inspire you, dear friends, to try one small practice tonight. Maybe a phone basket, maybe a 2-breath pause before checking an alert. Notice how your heart and mind respond. In that gentle moment of choice, you may discover, as Andrea did, that peace is closer than you think, waiting patiently beneath the next notification. Dear friends, as we draw near the close of our time together, let us gather the petals of our journey like the soft caress of a gentle breeze. Recall first the seed of intention, the simple question that pauses us before we unlock a screen. When we remember to ask, "Why am I reaching for this device now?" we bring our hearts home, choosing presence over distraction. Then remember the gentle fences of moderation, the quiet promise to ourselves, a phone set aside at mealtimes, a pause before bedtime, an afternoon walk without any buzzing notifications. In those moments, we taste the simple luxury of our own aliveness. Lastly, hold close the freedom of non-attachment, a warm, unhurried acceptance that our worth is never measured by likes or comments. We release the need to control outcomes, resting instead in the vast sky of our own hearts. If you take only one gift from this practice today, let it be this: the power of a single breath to return you to peace. When the next notification calls, pause and inhale. Feel the gentle swell of air as a reminder that true nourishment arises not from a screen, but from the tender awareness within. Exhale, releasing any pull of worry or craving. In that tiny lull, you discover the space to choose, whether to open your device or to dwell in simple stillness. Tonight, as you place your phone aside, perhaps in a small phone basket, let the quiet envelop you like a soft blanket. Before sleep, rest in gratitude for this gentle pause, knowing that each moment of returning to the breath is an act of true compassion toward yourself. Tomorrow morning, you may awaken to a fresh invitation. 3 mindful breaths before the first glance at your screen. Notice how, in those breaths, a flicker of ease arises, a reminder that you are always more than the world of pixels. May you carry these simple practices with you as you move through your days, like a warm lantern guiding you through the forest of light. May your heart unfold in kindness, and may each breath be a lullaby leading you home to peace. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.